Oh, thank you, Ayo. We have Mr. Robert Clarke, a senior advocate of Nigeria, a legal practitioner. He joins us next as we continue our focus on this amendment to the 1999 Constitution. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming on this.
Always my pleasure to be here.
Well, the Honorable says that, in fact, it has an interesting theme, that retreat that they have, towards ensuring good governance, accountability in Nigerian federalism. And I did ask him, he says, look, that Nigerians may have a wrong impression, but they mean well for this country. But looking at some of the provisions, I know you've gone through this, you think they really mean well for good governance from what you've seen?
Let us be honest with ourselves. We lawyers say you cannot build something on nothing. The Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, is a constitution that I believe we should jettison completely because it does not augur well. After 17 years, it has created more problems for us in Nigeria. It has given more powers to the executive governors and the president, that in exercising these powers, they have allowed corruption to come in. Let me give you an instance. The question of security votes with governors has no basis in the Constitution. They are illegally accepting security votes without constitutional provisions. Security votes was brought in by the military governors because being a military governor, he needed security votes to start looking at people who are going to topple their government by way of a coup. So they allowed them that money so that they could be paying spies to report any coup attempts. Now, the civilians inherited it without a constitutional provision. When Imo State was doing its 5 years something on your channels, the commissioner said Okorocha released 4 billion of his security vote to enable them to use it in building schools. Let us even agree that 4 billion is the minimum. When you multiply 4 billion by 36 every year for the past 17 years, you see what money has been going into the pockets of these governors, and they don't account to anybody.
And we don't know how much exactly.
I'm just using that revelation by Imo State. Now they should be called to account for it. As far as I'm concerned, they have reaped Nigeria of more than 1 trillion naira within 17 years without accounting for it. Now look at also the powers of the governor. When Obasanjo in his good sense created what you call the excess crude fund, the excess crude fund was the excess from the budgeted money. When the price of oil was 110, the budget was pegged at 75. So you still have about $45,000, which now Obasanjo said, keep it in an excess crude fund, so that when the price of oil goes below that 75 benchmark, we will have money, to help you to still maintain the standard of governance. What happened? The governor started breathing on the neck of the president. We want this, we want this. When Obasanjo left, he left 86 billion reserve and 47 billion in the excess crude fund. Today, the excess crude fund, I don't think is up to 2 billion. The reserve is just 20, all within 8 years. And what happened? The governors will hold a meeting, they breathe on the neck of the president, give us money from the excess crude fund. He will give them, they all share it, without appropriation. That is stealing. They have been stealing Nigerians' money, and the people should call them to come and account for it. So when you have a constitution, I'm coming, when you have a constitution that only favors the people who are governing us, 75% of the revenue of this country goes in maintaining and sustaining administration. It's only 25% that goes to capital projects. And that is why, since the beginning of 1999, there had been no capital project of note that Nigeria has ever embarked upon. When Shagari was there, we built the Alaja mill, we built the Jos mill, we built Ajaokuta, and many other things. Since this constitution came into being in 1999, not one single project, major project. We cannot have a railway system from Lagos to Abuja. Every country must have from its commercial center to the political center a railway system that, will join you all together. No. Instead, politicians have been keeping the money in their pocket. So this constitution is no constitution for the benefit of the people. It must be restructured.
So these are some of the things you expected them to look at, and even holistically you say it should be a total, jettison of this 1999 constitution, not even amendment.
No. It calls for restructuring, not amendment, because the Yoruba say, Odonbodoru, 0 upon 0 is 0. So what do you want to amend? An amendment that still gives you all the powers, for a governor to spend money at his will?
Chamberlain asked a question saying that some have alluded to the fact that it seemed that we're running a unitary government in the guise of a federal type of democracy, though Honorable Namdas disagreed. Do you also see that in a way now that most of the governors are saying we really can't fend for ourselves? It would seem that everything that would have given us some form of resources or revenue is all tied to the government at the center.
Well, let me put it this way. Before I comment, let us look back. Nigeria was 4 regions: North, South, North, Midwest, West, and East. Then, when the military took over, Gowon increased it to 12 states and still called it a federation. But that was still reasonable. Muritala came in, turned it to 19 states. To be honest with Babangida, when we had the 12 2/3 problem, whether 12 or 13 is 2/3 of the 19, Babangida had to solve that problem by creating 2 more states, Akwa Ibom and Katsina, to allow the arithmetical equation to be proper. 2/3 of 21 then will have been 14. But Abacha came in, and he did the worst, is the worst enemy of Nigeria. From 21 states, he took us to 36 states for his political agenda. Today, out of these 36 states, 22 states cannot even maintain themselves. They can't pay salary.
So many of these states are happy. They were happy when he created...
he was dancing to the tune for politics of people who will be happy to have their own states. Let me give you an example. Kogi State today, the Gala people were in Benue State and they were crying of marginalization. So they now created a state for them. Today, the other 2 tribes under them are crying for marginalization. For those who are crying for states, take Ogun State for instance. If you create Ijebu State today from Ogun State, which the Ijebu people are crying, the Remo people will start fighting the Ijebu because they believe they are not the same. So there is no way, if you create states, there will still be marginalization. Because Nigeria is made up of almost 300 ethnic groups. So the creation of states by Abacha really spoiled what you can term as a federation. Because a federation must be a state that is self-sufficient and can provide for itself, not going cap in hand to the federal government, oh, I need money, I need money. Then it's not a state worthy of that name. So today, I agree with you that the system we have is a unitary form of system. We are just telling ourselves lies that we are a federated state. We need to restructure. And the only way to restructure is this. I read my good friend and in-law, Professor Sagis, yesterday. I agree with his. The only way I don't agree with it is the method of creating it. You will remember when the national conference was being created here, I said it will fail because there was no legal norm on ground to bring it up. And it failed. because there was no instrument in law for it to be implemented. If you send it to the House, which was sent, these are the people you are asking to reduce their powers. They are not stupid. So the only way to do it, since Buhari says he's for change, change is not only in system of government, but in the constitution. Let him use this as a change. Collect well-meaning Nigerians, form a committee, and then let them now go to what you call referendum. Go to the people that I have set up a committee, but before you set the committee, go to the House first. Send them a bill that I want to set up a committee, and that committee's report will go in as a referendum. Give it legality, give it legal backing. When that is done, if they say we should still continue with the 1999 Constitution with many amendments, they will say so. If they say we should go for the parliamentary, they will say so. Whatever they say, send it to a referendum. Once the country speaks, then we know this is the constitution of the people, by the people, not the 1999 constitution that the army boys said is for the people, when we never had a hand in it.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back and continue our conversation with Mr. Clarke.